fire started at Richmond, it could go right through to the Gulf. Nothing would stop it. So all these trees, everything, because this black soil grows a very good body of Mitchell grass normal years. And then what would happen, the feed would dry right out, and you get to this time of year, lightning will strike, you get storms, and it's been nothing to have 20 or 30 fires, like in good seasons, all start from storms the same afternoon. So you'll see one bang over there, another one over there, next thing smoke's coming up. And so if you went back and this country got burnt again, you would be back to those whitewood trees, because it'd burn but you wouldn't run many cattle, because every year you'd be burnt out. But and that's why back in the 30s and that, way back when they found that Chronosaurus over here, the photos are there of the American scientists digging him up, and they took him back to Harvard. He's over in America, that Chronosaurus, and in the background's just not a tree. And that was mainly due to fires and sheep, because he used to run a lot of sheep, and sheep just nibble everything off. Where cattle don't. Cattle are bulk eaters. They eat grass. They don't eat forage. And but fires was the main thing. Like a fire could start a long reach in those days and just come straight through. And that's why all those plains were so clean. You know, all the Downs country was just so clean of weeds and trees. It was all about fire. This guy is an excellent sportsman. Captain Richmond football, swimming, cricket. I'd like you to meet him, Lisa.
Yeah.
Got a few tourists. How you going, mate?
There you go, Lisa. I think you're on the wireless there.
Wireless, yeah.
You've been swimming down in Richmond. Oh, right. So they just had a couple of hours. I said, we'll go for a drive up to Hampstead, up on the road, you put in.
All right.
You expect to see Lisa Curry get out of the car, eh? He would say, oh, the blackfellas knew about fire. The blackfellas couldn't control fire. They used to start fires down the rivers, so the roos would come down there on the fresh green feed. But the blackfellas couldn't control fires late in the year. No one could. If you got lightning storms and a bank of them went through, it was just massive fires. When we were kids, it was just fires like smoke just going up everywhere.
They want the kangaroos to come down so they can eat meat.
Yeah, they wanted the kangaroos. They'd burn down near the river where they live. Yeah. The blackfellas didn't live up on the bloody. You know, people say, oh, blackfellas. They didn't live out there. They're not stupid. They lived where the water was. You know, and they used to walk around the country when the wet season came. But when it was like this, they'd be camped on the river. Don't worry, they're not stupid. Anyway, so they'd burn down near the river, and they didn't care where it burned. But the kangaroos also had to go down to the river to get a drink. So everything related around the water. And they'd burn little areas, and of course, as soon as the first rain came, they'd be the first shoot. Boys be up there. Got him. That's the water wheel down there. Ross, you build it. It just picks up water out of the spring. The spring's up there a lot further, of course. Up Polly Pike. Yep. He built it himself. Yep. We pump out a little generator pump over there.
That's fresh water.
That's fresh water, yeah. That's spring water.
Yeah, very cool.
Well, all the black soil country in Queensland, New South Wales, you can see it actually. There's a map of it in Carnosaurus Corner, where the sea came and went a couple of times, and so no more fossils up here. This is not the inland sea anymore. This is dinosaur country here. So that's how, like you can tell, the sand is the beach, right? And it's no different than what you see on the coast. The black soil is the silt off the bottom of the sea. So Dubbo, Moree, Narrabri, Gundawindi, Longreach, Richmond, up into the Gulf, black soil going up into the Gulf, Normandy, was all inland sea. And you can, you know, the scientists can tell you by the sodium in the soil, all those sort of things. So you come up off the sea onto the beach, and then you come off the beach up onto the rock wall. So it's interesting.
Hello. Hello. Oh, there's a little baby one.
Big mother, Harsha. Here you go.
Seat for somebody. Another seat. Brought a couple of seats. What would you like? Apple juice or one of them?
Oh my god, look. Oh.
Where's mine? Don't you tell me you don't have
There's
one?
yours there. See what I mean?
Oh, you're a good lad. Thank you. You know the way to a
it
lady's
twisty?
heart at this time of day. When it's hot.
What does it taste like?
What is it? Summer.
Tastes like summer. 4X.
It's
Queen-
big.
Queensland beer.
How'd you open them? Oh, they're twisty. Aren't
Twist it, twist
Twisty.
the top. Here, I'll get it for you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Cheers.
Not very.
Cheers.
Cheers, Lisa.
Cheers.
Thanks, John. Cheers to you.
No worries. Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
for a good day.
Great day.
We haven't finished yet. I'm going home. Used to bloody affect Captain Cook. Drill the holes in the bloody. Now that was found just out of town here.
Oh, ship?
Shipworms.
I thought you said shitworms.
And they used to eat all the timber out.
Yeah.
So here's a fish. I show you. Look, see this fish here? This fish was found out in the fossicking pits, and there it is. That's one.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That one over there was found a year later.
That's a big one.
We just cut that out of the gravel pits where we get our gravel for the roads. These people were just digging around out of the fossil, out of the gravel pits, because this stuff flakes off. And usually the big loader comes in and lays on the truck, so you just don't see that. And they found it. Of course, there was a hole shut down, and we went out and cut it out,
Wonder.
brought it back in here, and they're going to come up and do research on it here. You can see its head's been chewed by something, crunch, and so something's snapped at it.
Something big, obviously.
So what would your dream for Richmond be? If you could do anything
Well,
at any time?
I've continued to push since I've been on the council about water development, which is our irrigation development. We got the fourth biggest river in the state here. You got the Burdekin, the Mitchell, and the Fitzroy, and then the Flinders. So it's the fourth biggest river for output. We only need a couple 100,000 megs, and we can have an irrigation area like Emerald. and we've got the soil, everything's right. I mean, we've got a government now, between the Newman government and the Abbott government, to push it. We've never been able to get it developed because Peter Beattie did a deal with the Greens. There was no development in the Gulf rivers. You can't develop all the Gulf rivers because a lot of them got shitty soil, you know, sandy soil like where we were today.
Yeah.
But where you've got this good black soil that holds this moisture, you can grow anything here. And they grew rice out of here last year, only the river didn't run. If the river had to run for another day, they would have had a crop of rice.
Really?
So it's not that flood rice, it's a commercial rice, it's a dry rice. And yeah, we've got big hopes, and I think that will happen with Tony Abbott, this North Australian, you know, I've got a few connections in that government. So they've said to me, like people like Barnaby Joyce have been here, and said, mate, this is just like Gundawindi. He said, she'll be a fire, she'll fire up. So we only just needed that sort of support, and we've developed an investment brochure on the irrigation. So yeah, you know, we can still farm here and still have a prawn industry in the Gulf, you know, and
so that's exciting for the kids who live in Richmond, gives them something to look forward to and some hope for the
They're
area.
real jobs, you know. There's no point us talking about, you know, tourism's all very nice, but tourism will drop off if a bomb goes off or something. So you've got to have real hardcore jobs. If you want people to come and buy a house in Richmond and live here, they've got to have a good job. And tourism's like a service industry. It's great. We love it. I mean, the more tourists get on the road, the more traffic on the road, the more money we get through main roads. So you know, you've got to keep all that happening. And tourism services our centres, you know, and our cafes and pubs and reliable. I mean, council makes money out of the caravan park. It's great. Agriculture, cattle, but our best opportunity is irrigation. Probably about 20,000 acres of irrigation, and on these Gulf rivers, you don't. A lot of the greenies don't think you just put a pump in this river and suck out, and everyone's going to do it. They can't do it. You know, it's $1 million to set up a pump, and it's probably $5 million to set up a farm. So there's only going to be a few satellite areas. But those satellite areas will bring better health, better education, you know, better services, the whole shooting match. And Emerald was actually smaller than Richmond when they built the Fairburn Dam. Emerald was just a little cow town with a railway line going to it, and Richmond was a bigger town because it had shearers. So we had a shearing industry, and the ex-mayor of Richmond, Fred Tritton, was on the committee that chose the Fairburn Dam on the Nagoa River. And
I saw that dam, and they use it for all the community events.
It's great.
You know, in summertime,
all those mines wouldn't be there without it. A lot of those mines wouldn't be there without it because they need the water.
Yeah.
And in the farming area that's there, you know, it's just taken off. And a lot of that emerald country is nowhere near the quality of the soil we got here. They're farming on a lot of harder country. You know, don't get me wrong, a lot of good soil there too. But so yeah, that's what will happen. I'm pretty sure it'll happen, and we need that demand to come through. We need farmers to be getting money again, because the rural industries in Australia are pretty tough at the moment. A lot of that's to do with the dollar, but you know, seasons come and seasons go. So yeah, but that'll happen.
Go Richmond.
She will go, and with regard to the irrigation, Richmond's where all the water is. So the water, the catchment for the Flinders, starts up north of Wharton, but the water doesn't go to Wharton, it comes to here. So we get up to 300,000 megs a day past here. Wharton only get 140,000 megs a day because they're further up the catchment, and further down the catchment you go, the bigger the flood. So, but the further down the catchment you go into the Gulf, the less chance you can farm because you're getting into a flood out country.
Yeah.
So there's only a few places where you can do it. Claire, you right to go? Are yours?
Ready to roll when you are.
Right, well, we'll come in. We'll come in before we see the fly saw.